Man, that looks good, don't it? Little backdrop from the wife, little fresh guitar. I'll set you guys down right here. How are y'all doing? Welcome to the new vlog. I know it's been a while since I've posted one, but it's time, okay? I wanted to kind of more or less give a month to see how poker went and see how everything's going, and give time to kind of go into further detail of how my little bankroll challenge kind of thing has gone. If you guys haven't seen me before, this is going to be the vlog number 2 of the new poker vlog with the bankroll challenges I'm doing. My name is James Wolfgram. Like I said, I'm an aspiring poker professional from Mount Bird, Arkansas. I am getting a vlog together to show what it's like to take this challenge from the beginning, to pound through small stakes, small tournaments, cash games, sit and goes, because the goal is to do this for a living. That's what I want to do. So thank you guys for joining me today. As you can see, I cleaned myself up a little bit. I don't look as homeless or as post Malone as some people would like to say. So first things first, we have had a really good poker month. Starting from the 5th of November, we have had all our home games, and then we had our championship table this past Tuesday, where all our points from previously playing and stuff like that add up, and you get a stack size based on that, and yada yada yada. Well, your boy here had, out of 4 weeks, he had 3 first places and 1 did not cash, which is great, because return on investment is fine there. And then we're going to talk about the championship table throughout this whole entire thing. All right, so first things first, we are 4th in chips to start with. We are starting with 21,800, and I'm going to show start stack right here. Not too bad to start with, right? It's a deep stack. The blinds are starting at 5,100, so we have over 210 big blinds or so. It's a lot to start with, and the plan is to play each person differently based on how I figured they would play this entire match. We have Andy, who is a great player. He's already won a WSOP ring, and it's my goal to catch up with him on that, by the way. He starts off 2nd in chips, very good player, knows his spots well. Ian, he is starting off 1st in chips. He always finds a way to play his best towards the end and cash and stuff like that. Then we have Cameron, who starts off a little short. I figured he was going to play super tight regardless and just try to make the money. We have John, who is a player that is getting more used to the style, understanding the game a little bit more and studying it. And then we have Scott. Scott just plays for fun. I don't think he is aspiring to do like the rest of us are and play, he just plays for fun, more or less. But he's really good at it. He understands the game, he understands spots, and stuff like that. But he'll be the first one to tell you, like, don't think of me as playing like professionals do. Don't do that. So what we have here, we're starting with the stack of 21,800. The very first hand I get into, the very first hand I'm dealt, I am under the gun. I look down at ace 8 of hearts, which is not bad. We're 6-handed, mind you. There's only 6 of us here. If we were a full 9-handed game, I probably would fold this because there's so much action behind. I limped the 100 because my idea is to try to fill everybody out, see how everybody plays, see how everybody's going to act with their stacks. Nobody's going to get chips in early, especially that deep, especially when 4 of us make the money out of 6. So the idea, I want to fill everybody out. Ace 8 is probably a hand I probably should either raise under the gun or fold. like I said, but I want to feel everybody out. I want to feel how people are going to play. If Scott folds, goes to Andrew. Andy makes it 300, which is a 3x raise, which is a normal raise to this whole entire point. Ian folds, John calls, I call. Flop comes ace of diamonds, 3 of diamonds, 6 of hearts, a flop top pair, meh kicker. With backdoor flush draw, I got backdoor straight draws. I check it to him, and Andrew bets 700. This is one of the points where I felt like I actually messed up. I have about 4 points I want to talk about that I felt like I messed up the entire night. And this is the first one. First hand, of course. So, what I feel like I messed up at was not raising this flop. Granted, he raised in late position. I have an ace. I should raise this flop to see where I'm at. Now, I'm slow playing it mostly because I want to see how the board goes. My kicker's not very well, but I should have raised here. Regardless, but you know, like I said, he has me covered by, I think it was like 8,000 chips, something like that at that point. I didn't want to get in for stacks, so what do I raise to here? He makes it 700. There's like 700 in a pot. What do I have to raise here to get him off? Because if he calls me, I'm in trouble. That means he's got something to call here. Flush draw. He has a bigger ace. I'm in deep doo-doo if I raise here and he flats me or raises me more. So I decide to flat and keep the pot small and go from there. The turn was the 7 of diamonds, so flush got there. And now I've got a backdoor straight draw and stuff like that I can hit. The river was the 8 of diamonds. So I have 2 pair of the flush draw, and I can't bet it though, right? I mean, because who has more diamonds in a range? Me, possibly. Him, he can have the ace X with, or not ace with the X of diamonds, any kind of diamond with there. Queen Jack, queens, king. It's just, I just put him on so much more. He checks behind. He says, I have a straight. Showing pocket fives for a straight. It's fine. I should have raised that that flop. Mistake number 1. That's my fault. My boo-boo. So take that, learn. I didn't think he'd see about that board. I mean, it makes sense that he see about that board because he raised pre-flop, ace comes, got to rep it. It's fine, but it's my fault. I should raise that flop. Live and learn. Okay, next hand we're going to talk about is a hand where it's like 2 or 3 hands later. It folds around to me. I have Queen Jack offsuit. I am I'm the cutoff. I'm the last act. I'm behind the button. I make it, I think I make it like 600 because there's like 3 limps in there, so I make it a little bit bigger because there's so many limps in there. It's going to cost everybody to go. Scott on the button calls. Andrew folds, and Cameron calls. Cameron has a short stack. Normally, I figured he would try to get his money in with just try to get in, but he flats there. And it's to Cameron to act first. The flop comes queen, king, 3, 2 spades. Now, I'm going to see about this board because I hit the queen, and I'm supposed to rep the king anyways. Cameron donk leads into me. I flat the donk lead of like 1100 or something like that. Scott behind me flats it too. So in my head, I know he has a king. I don't think Cameron's going to lead out here with a king. I think if he had a king, he's checking it to me because I'm supposed to see bet that board. Scott has a king. It just screams he has a king. The turn was another king, but it's the king of spades. So there's 3 to a flush out there. Cameron checks. I check. Scott checks behind. River was like the 7 of spades, so there's 4 spades out there. Cameron checks. I bet, repping the spade. I can have a spade, but I bet really small. I bet about 1,200 into a like $4,000 pot. The reason I did that, I wanted to look value-y. I was like, please call me, please call me, please call me. That's the whole reason I did that. And I should have made bigger. Scott is 3rd in chips. If he was shorter, it probably makes sense. Like if there's Cameron behind me. At the end of that, we have, he thinks for a minute. He goes, I guess I have to call, right? Because I was like, yeah, you don't have to, but I guess you can. And he calls, Cameron folds, and he shows me King something, King X, King of Hearts or something like that. So he has 3 of a kind. I made it too small. Mistake number 2. My bet sizing was bad. I needed to make that one much, much bigger. And that's my fault completely. So, we get down a little short. We've kind of donked off a few chips and kind of a little frustrated at the point because game planning here was not to mix up very much with anybody that had chips. I was just going to fill everybody out. Now I know I can't bluff Scott too much because if he's got a hand that's going to call, it's going to call, stuff like that. Next hand we have is the 3rd mistake I make. And granted, this is something that I felt bad about because the last 4 times I felt like the guy I was in a pot with was bluffing. He was, and I folded. So we're going to talk about this hand too. I'm on the button, and it's limped 4 ways at 100, 200, so the blinds went up a little bit. I look down at pocket 4s, which probably should limp here maybe. But my thinking behind that, I make it a little bit bigger. I get everybody out. It's a pocket pair. It's hard to make a pair in this game, especially pre-flop. And I'm on the button. I have position on everybody. The only thing that sucks is Andrew's in the big blind with chips. So he's probably gonna call off a lot on no matter what he has. So I raise real big to 1600. Andy flats the big blind. So I'm trying to think what he has here in the big blind to flat. I was thinking any kind of like King X or Jack X or whatever. Just hands that I could think, maybe some kind of suited connectors or whatnot. So flop comes Queen of Spades, Jack of Spades, and a deuce. Andrew checks his big blind. I check back. I have pocket 4s. And if it came ace high or king high, I'm betting it. I'm supposed to. But I can't bet that board because I gotta see where I'm at. You know, if I bet that board, he check raised me, then I'm shit out of luck. So turns to 6 of hearts. Complete brick in my mind, unless he had like 6x suited connectors and just some other kind of thing. Andrew leads for about 2,200. In my mind, I think I'm getting the right price to call here because there's so many draws out there. He can have a random, like, small, teeny tiny straight draw, King 10, Ace 10, Ace. I don't think he has Ace King, but he can here because we're so deep, so he's just flattened to see what's going on. There's so many draws here. I gotta play my pocket pair and think it's fine. I flat the 2,200. River's the like 7 of spades or something along those lines, so it brings the flush in that was on the flop, but no other like straight got there. So he leads into me for 5,500, and I'm sitting there like thinking already. It's like, man, okay, there's a lot of draws here that missed except for spades. Would he check the spades at the flop? Probably. I don't think he dunk leaded to the aggressor. And then he says, all right, I bet enough of your stack that I can't fold, which is true. He had 50, he bet 5,500 of my 10,000 or so remaining stack. So he did, because no matter what I shove, he basically has a call because there's so much in the pot. And the second he talked, I said, last like 4 or 5 times he's said words. He hasn't had it. He's tried to out-talk me. So I called him real light because I had to see it because he had chips. He was deep. He had chips to afford to bluff to try to win and build a stack. So I called him real light. He shows me ace queen offsuit. Flatted ace queen because we're super deep. He didn't have to bet real high to get me off of it, and it just, God, it hurts. Especially when I didn't put him on anything to do with the queen or jack on the flop, except for maybe Jack X, like Jack 10, Jack King on the button or on the big blind. It just, I didn't put him on that at all. So maybe if he was suited, he'd probably re-raise me. So we're down to a little over 5,000 at this point of our 21, almost 22,000 starting stack. So we're not feeling great. We expected to do a little bit better than this. Granted, the way we played has kept us from going busted twice, because I made one bad bluff. I did not raise a flop that I was supposed to raise on, and I could have been broke twice now. So I'm not feeling bad about the play. I'm just feeling a little unfortunate with how the stacks have gone. So I'm trying to act a little, we call it red ass, where it's called, tilted. So I'm trying to act that way. I'm a little frustrated that I spewed off right there. I look down the next hand and I have 2 kings. I'm under gun. I just go, I'm all in. And they go, what? What are you doing there? So I'm all in. Y'all gonna have to call for your rest of your stack. You want to do this? And Andrew called me out on it. He said, you're just playing it off again, red ass. So he knew what I was doing. I racked up king. I just shoved for, 20-something big blinds. It was probably the right play, but it's probably too many chips to do. But I didn't want to make it, 1,600, and I have 3,800 left. Flop comes ace high, and I'm SOL because 3 people call behind me, and a lot of them have weak aces. I just didn't want to do that. It just did not make sense to me. So I shoved, nobody calls. We go from there. Next hand, we have accumulated some small pots to get back to about 8,900, which is fantastic. At that point, we're feeling good. I feel like we're accumulating finally. We win a couple pots. We bet, people fold. We got about 8,900. We limp the 6-9 of hearts in the small blind versus Scott. He checks it. Flop comes 8-5 deuce with a 5 of hearts. I check it to him. I have gut shot. I don't like leading with gut shots, especially in limp pots, because he can have anything here. He can limp with deuces. He can have an 88. So I check it to him. He leads for 900. I call the gut shot, and this is one of the things I've been working on, is just calling when I have a gut shot to the nuts. Not calling gut shots when there's paired boards. Calling a gut shot when there's a flush draw out there, yada, yada, yada. So he bets to 900. I call a gut shot, turns the 7 of hearts. We turn the nuts. There's a lot of draws out there. I check it to him because I think that's the right play to do, is to check it to him because he led the flop. Nothing really got there except for my straight, which is disguised because I shouldn't have that. Scott bets big. He bets about 2,200, and I have, around 7,700 at this point. I think for a bit, make it look like I'm struggling with something at this point, and I shove. Scott kind of leans back in his chair, goes, I don't think he knew. I think he knew he had I could have 2 pairs or something at this point. And then he calls. So, okay, I should be great shape right now. He turns over the 10-8 of hearts. So he flopped top pair, and now he has a flush draw, and that I did not want to see hearts. I didn't put him on hearts. I didn't know what backdoor hand he could have hearts there. And he had one. And I'm at risk. I am at risk to be the first one to get out. So river with the ace of clubs, we double. We dodged clubs. We dodged the world there, and we're feeling fantastic because we double up from 8,900 to 19,000. So we're almost back to starting stack from spewing off to less than almost 5,000. So we're almost back to where we needed to go. So next hand we open under the gun for 1,200. I think that's what it was. Ace 4 spades. Now normally I wouldn't raise that at the point. I looked at my hand and it's like, okay, it's suited, it's connected. We can make another hand with spades. We can make small straights. It kind of disguises a lot that we can have. So the only part I really messed up on this one is I did not look next to me to see how much Scott had. And I should have done that before raising because he can shove and I'm pricing a call no matter what normally. So I raised to 1,200. Scott shoves for about 4,400. John, besides me, he flats to 4,400. So I don't know what he has. He can have anything there. Any kind of ace beats me. King, queen, queen X, stuff like that. I'm priced in to call to bust somebody, get closer to the money. So I flat the 4,400. We check it down. Flop comes queen, 4, deuce, and then turns 9, rivers to 7. We have a pair of 4s, and pair of 4s is good. John had ace 10 of clubs. Scott shoved a king jack or something along those lines. He didn't have king queen because he would have hit the queen. And that was a big pot for us that put us close to 30,000, I believe. Now we're feeling good because we shouldn't have been in that position, but the way the cards lined out worked fantastic for us. We get up to over 30,000. We knock a guy out. We're one closer to the money, and we're feeling good. Cards are finally running our way. Next hand we have at 200, 400 is we wake up with pocket jacks. We raise real big to 2,200. The reason I raise this big is not because I just have jacks, but there is also two short stacks out of the 5 of us, and I want to put pressure on them, make them bleed a little bit, make them have to really think about what they're going to do and when they're going to play their cards. This is a money bubble too. Next person out does not cash. So Andy flats to 2,200. He is attacked right after me. John flats his big blind too. Flop comes 9-8 deuce with 2 clubs. Now we have an overpair. Anytime you can flop an overpair with jacks, you feel great. It's hard to do that because jacks is right on that line where you don't know where you're at and stuff like that always. And John open shoves for 5,800. I immediately think, okay, he has a 9. He can have a 9 here in the big blind. He can have an 8 here in the big blind. I didn't think I was behind really at all. And I make it 16,000. Why did I make it 16,000? Because I don't want Andrew beside me flatting to 5,800 because he's getting priced in and outdraw me with something like King X or some kind of flush draw and stuff like that. I don't want that. Andy folds. John has ace queen of clubs. So he's actually the favorite here because we were flipping 50-50 before the flop anyways, but now he's got clubs working with him. He's actually the favorite. Technically not the best hand, but he is the favorite. So they brick the turn, brick the river. We now have 40 to 50K stack, and we are feeling great, especially when anytime jacks can hold and they're behind a bunch to cards like that, we're feeling great. So here's a picture of our stack too, where we're going at. Now we got a good stack. We're feeling great because cards are going our way. First off, this game is so much easier when cards fall your way, of course, but it's also so much easier to think and wonder what's going on when cards don't just screw you that way too. So we're feeling great. We are easily chip leader. We have about 50, 60,000. We win a couple more pots through Andrew. And this is the next big hand that I really want to talk about. We're at 300, 600. We are on the big blind with 8-4 offsuit, 1 heart, 1 diamond. Andy limps the 600 big blind, under the gun. Everybody folds. It's just the four of us. Cameron folds, and Ian folds his small blind, which is strange because Ian still got 20,000 chips or so, and I thought he would be folding to try to catch flops and try to, do all that, but he folded, which is fine. Flop comes King 5-7, all rainbow. Andy leads for 1,500. I call my gut shot. I will call once, especially when it's cheaper to do that. I've got chips. The turn is a 6, so we hit. Andy checks behind, and the river is a 5. Andrew leads for 8,000. I snap call him because there's a paired board. He can have 5-7. He can have King 5. He can have 5 whatever. I have to flat. I can't fold here. He made it priced in. I can't fold here. I call. He says I have 5. He thought he won. He thought I limped a king or something like that. I said I have a straight. He goes, whoa, I didn't even think about you having that. So we did good. Won a big pot there too, especially with a disguised gut shot. And that's another thing. Like I said, I was working on. I want to only call gut shots when I have the nut draw, and I want just to play smart that way. So we have a big stack. We are looking at about 90,000 now, give or take, after winning a couple pots between there. Here's my stack afterwards. Next hand is a big hand. The reason why this is a big discussion is earlier when we were beginning the game, we had an overpair versus the flush draw, and it was a nut flush draw with ace jack on 300 board versus John's queens, and the guy folded the flush draw. Ian did, because he knew he was flipping at best. He had to hit a spade or had to hit an ace for his entire stack. So this hand, we have ace 10 of clubs and the big blind. Andrew under the gun with about 19,000, give or take. He makes it 4,000 to go because there is a raise from Ian. I flatted it. I don't remember how much it was. I didn't write that part down. I call the 4,000 because I have a suited nutted ace. I have Broadway. I know that I can hit and see where he wants to go from there. I flat. The flop is 9-8-3 with 2 clubs. I check it because I want him to bet and I want to raise him. Because I have 2 overs, I have a flush draw. I'm not dead to any hand here. I'm not. I'm never drawing dead. So he looks at me and goes, all in. I was like, what do you mean all in? He goes, I'm all in. It was for about 15, a little over 15,000, and there was only about 9,000 in the pot. So he overshot the pot. So what he's revving to me is an overpair. He does not want me drawing at all. He either has that or he has like a set of 9s, a set of 8s. And even at that, I'm still getting the right price to call. Or I'm getting the wrong price to call, actually. But it's hard to fold here. I look at count my stack, I think for a minute, I'm like, you've got to have an overpair here, Andrew. I just know it. But I had about 80,000 chips after I called the 4,000. So if I call and lose, I still have about 65,000, and he'll have about 40,000, give or take. I have to. There's a money jump after doing that. So I reluctantly call, and he goes, I got kings. I said, I think you got kings. I was like, I need to hit a club then, or something along those lines. So I flip over. Turn was a offsuit 6, and then we rivered an ace. So we didn't even have hit our club, we just hit our ace, and now we have a massive, massive stack afterwards. Now we're done 3. I have a huge chip lead over both of them. It's me, Cameron, and Ian. I have easily over 100,000 chips. Now my idea, because I know both of them are playing super tight because they want to just ladder as much as they can. They want me to bruise the other guy and stuff like that. I ended up spewing a little to Cameron. I lost about 10 or 12,000, got him over 25, 29,000, something like that. So I looked at myself, I said, okay, I gotta slow down a little bit, because I'm raising decent hands. I'm raising hands that should be raised three-handed and stuff like that. But I kept spewing a little bit, and he would donk lead to me, regardless of what the board was. If he felt like I didn't hit the board at all, he donked lead to me, which is fine. I was playing cards, but I needed to slow down and kind of go from there. So we're at 400, 800 blinds. I looked down at King Queen offsuit, which is it's not a monster hand, but it's a strong hand, three-handed. I raised to 2,800. Cameron flats with about 28,000 behind, and that's a very big detail to know. Ian folds because if I bust him, he makes more money. Flop comes Queen 10-4, all offsuit. I bet 2,500. I purposely down betted. The reason why I did that, I wanted to see what he was going to do when I priced him in. I had this board absolutely nutted. There's no way I should be behind to a whole lot, because the only thing he can flat here is Queen 10. That is it. That's the only hand I feel like I would ever be behind here. He check raises me to 7,000 without even thinking about it. He had his mind made up. If I bet this board, he was going to check raise me. Now, what is he check raising me here with? Okay, possibly King Jack, Jack 9. That makes sense, but it doesn't make sense with his stack size. So he's telling me he has a queen or two pair. Now, I'm never folding here because of how many chips I have, first off. Second off, I think he's full of shit. So I flat the check raise to 7,000. The turn is an offsuit deuce, like a deuce of spades or something. He checks it to me, and I look at him. I was like, "What are you doing, check raising me on this board? And now that you're gonna check the deuce? I don't understand what you're doing here, Cameron." I think about it for a minute because I'm trying to think if I need to bet here. If I bet here and he's full of crap, what do I accomplish? I don't get any money out of him later. Now, if I check this back and look like I missed something, or if I have high cards, maybe I can get him to lose money in the river, where he thinks he does have the best hand. I checked it back, the turn is another deuce. So if he had 10-4, I counterfeited him, which I just don't think he has 10-4. He's playing so tight, there's no way he's going to have 10-4 in this position, ever. There's no way. So, he just open rips it. So I don't know what he thinks I have. I call, and he goes, "You're good." I was like, okay. So I show King Queen, and he gets a little upset. He goes, "I don't understand how you call there." I was like, that's the tip top of my range besides Ace Queen. So I even told him, I was like, "I think I put you on having King Jack or Jack 9 and you just bricked it." I was like, "There's no way you have pocket fours, because I think you re-raised me pre-flop," and that's fine because pocket four three-handed is a pretty good hand. And I have to call it. So he got third place. We're heads up, and Ian is super short. So the idea is to make him bleed a little bit and then make him put his hand in when I'm ahead. That's what we're gonna do. So Ian's super short. He got about 5,800. He open rips it, and I slowly look down, peel my cards back. I have two black sixes. We have all the chips. This is for the win. All right, we're all in for stacks. Ian has 7-8. I have sixes. Let it rip. One spade. Good hand. GG. We shipped it. That's a big win. That's a big thing for me, especially seeing how I'm trying to do this bankroll challenge. That's something that didn't cost me a single dollar to do, that we were able to win $1,225 on. That's a big thing. So pocket six is 7-8, brick. It's fantastic. You love to see it. So we ran great. We ran bad at the end, but it's mostly because the spots I felt like I was in and I had to make a play on, and we did great. We, after this past month is where I did some math on where we are money-wise. After this whole past month, we have bought in for only about $175 on these sit and goes that we do, these home games. And including first place last week, we are up to $2,050. So we've won 3 out of 4 weeks. We were only in for 53 weeks, and then we were in for 75 one week, I think, or something along those lines. And we did great. We played good poker. We started to stay away from bad spots where we felt like we were behind. There's a couple of spots that I know from these past weeks that I made bad plays, but it happens. But we're happy. We did great. This big old thing behind me, my wife got me. It's not for loss now. So we are excited to have something to show for this journey. I was kind of worried when I started doing this thing that, a month in I would have nothing to show for. And that's not the case. So now I want to talk about, before we finish this video up, is things that I felt like I had improved over the last month since the last video. I've done a lot of studying. I've got a book here, full of my notes and stuff that I've been doing. If you guys are looking to do something, keep a book. Keep a log of everything. This is something that's happened. I know it sounds old school, but write down your thoughts. And if you write them down, you think about them harder, and then you actually frickin' do them. So, improvements in my game. I have been folding weak aces out of position. I know for some of y'all that are looking here, they think, well, duh. I never folded weak. I never thought about an ace being weak because it's the top pair and stuff like that. I try to stay out of that danger zone. The reason being for that, you make a bad top pair or you have a weird 2 pair, stuff like that. No, like I said in a previous spot where I, raised ace 4 spades out of position under the gun. The reason I did that, I had chips, I was running good, and 5-handed. That also affects something. Now, if it was 9-handed, I'm up that hand. There's no reason for me to play that. So that's one thing that I have tried to remember, is to stay away from weak aces out of position. Now, if you're in position, you can call them, see a flop, stuff like that. Because if you raise them pre-flop and you get 3-bet, then you call them, and then you just burn chips. They're just gone. So the other thing is, I'm trying to stay away from being tilted, and that's something I worked on really, really good this past week with that championship game. If I lost a hand, I tried to relax, not worry about it, think about what I can do, and just take a deep breath. Third thing, twice that got me big hands was only calling gut shots when it's towards the nuts. I could call a gut shot and it's bottom end of the straight, call a gut shot at the paired board, call a gut shot with flush draw on the board because you have dirty outs. Can't do it. It's just lighting chips on fire. Sometimes it helps because you can make your gut shot and somebody's got a different thing, and it just, stay away from it. It's something that's happened. Another thing is I'm trying to think more instead of just react. It helps because you're thinking about what they can have. You're taking a minute to pause. You're taking a minute to think about your stack, his stack. You just got to think about that. Another thing is only bluff in the right spots. When I was young and started playing this game, I bluffed way too much. If there was money out there, I wanted to throw good money after bad, and I got called so much. I've cut down on my bluffing except in the right spots. Now, I got called on a bluff on a 4 flush board because I knew the guy beside me had a king. Now, my fault for not betting the right size correctly. That's something that I've also been working on, is working on my bet sizing. That's major component of this game that I need to make sure it gets worked on. So that's another thing. Areas that I feel like I still need to improve is my 3-bet folding strategy. I 3-betted one time in this game and folded it. I 3-betted a bunch, but I 3-bet folded once because there was a 3-bet, or I 3-bet with like Jack 10 of spades versus these short stacks, and Andrew 4-bet me really quick. They didn't even think about it. And when it floated around me, whoop, in the muck. That's something that is a big thing. You can have 3-bet folds in your range because you're 3-betting to win these excess chips without seeing a flop, and you can fold it quickly. Now, you don't want to do that a lot, but you got to have those little spots in your range. Now, another thing to do is like when to raise versus flatting. This is not just like ace of kings or queen or ace king. Know your position, know your flop size, stuff like that, and you know your player you're playing against. That's the thing that I need to work on personally a lot more. So another thing is I want to always think about big blinds versus the amount of stacks. I've gotten very good at this, understanding how many big blinds I have. Talk about their stacks, do the math on it, and stuff like that. I just need to do it more, especially if I start playing cash games a lot more frequently. Think about those in big blinds versus amount, because you know we start calling off 100 big blinds. You don't want to do that with ace unless you have aces or kings, right? And it's just bad. So last thing is I want to know when to c-bet versus not. Now this revolves around 3-betting or raising pre-flop, and the board comes out, you know, whatever it is. Now, what do I need to c-bet? Now, that doesn't mean if I just missed the board, I need to c-bet. That also means if I hit the board, do I need to c-bet that? Like, let's say I raise with pocket tens, flop comes ace, 10, 6, all rainbow. I have that board absolutely crushed, except the guy can have a straight draw. Now, it depends on what position he's in. It depends on what position I am in. Do I check his board back? Do I check it to him? Is there a flush draw, a straight draw, or do I go ahead and c-bet it because I'm supposed to, right? So it's a little aspects about that, you know, same thing if I'm under the gun or in the button and I raise small blind and big blind both call and the flop comes 8 high. I don't need to see about that board unless I have overpairs or I have like ace 8 and I hit the 8. There's no reason for me to see about that board. Now, granted, when I was younger and I didn't study this game, I thought I was just playing it because I thought it was what I was supposed to do. I would c-bet that board and somebody call me and then I'd bet the turn and bet the river and brick, and I'm broke. So, something I'm trying to practice more on is to know when to c-bet. So, alright, this is going to be a long video. I appreciate y'all with the patience for me. I know it's been a month or so since I put out my last video and I was going to put one out each week, and I'm going to try doing that again, especially now seeing how it's Christmas time. I'm going to play a lot more poker here, especially beginning of the year. My birthday's coming up on the 12th of January. There is a ring event in Durant, Oklahoma I'm going to go play at, and there's going to be another event my wife has planned for me that she's going to do around my birthday, and we're going to try to win one. That's the plan. So thank y'all very much. Like, subscribe, comment on it, hit me up if y'all need to as well. I'm going to put my information on after this video where you can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram. You can email me too. We're going to do stuff like that. So I always like to finish these videos up with one thing. If Ja Rule could be considered a singer, I can play poker for a living. Thanks, guys.